Welcome one more time, everybody, to Reverse Engineering Conversations. This time I have a special guest, and it's just gonna be amazing. I'm really excited. Thank you so much for being here, Preeti. Thank you for taking the time, and the making the time and the effort to show up. And I just really want to thank you. I'm so grateful for you to be here. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm okay. I want to thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity. I really feel blessed to be sitting here across from you, and it's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you. Well, first, I want to start with congratulating you for graduating from the Jay Shetty School. That's where we met, and I'm really excited about your journey, how it's been evolving. It's been fascinating to see all the growth that you've been doing. From the days that we were in the school, and how the process that you took when it comes down to the school, and how you were evolving. Because you asked, I remember skimming through some of the comments, and I'm like, oh, she's really trying to go deep. And me personally, I get attracted when people is trying to find more than just the surface. For me, I get really attracted, and I get interested. So I want to start with
Yeah.
who's pretty, who's pretty, so that way the audience knows a little more about you.
Yeah. So I'm Preeti. I'm from New York. Um, Maybe I'll talk a little bit. I know you're right about the dig deep thing. I do tend to want to dig deep and like correct and know, and that's definitely learning is definitely
Right.
a key core of who I am. So yeah, I mean, I like you said, I've graduated from the Jay Shetty Certification School. So what happened? How did I wind up here? What was happening before that? Basically, my whole journey with the school and coaching began when the pandemic hit. Before that, I was just hi Nisha. I was working and just living my daily life. And what was happening to me was I kind of just felt like I was in a routine, like in a rut. And it was just kind of like one day was after another day, just wake up, go to work, come home, wake up, go to work, come home. And I do remember thinking to myself, I'm like, is this it? Like, is this what life has to offer? And I always kept thinking that to myself, and I'm like, there has to be something more. Like, I guess I wasn't feeling very fulfilled. So, but I didn't know what this other thing was. I didn't know what that was. But as I kept on going along, and then all of a sudden, we hear about COVID, things shut down, and there's like a big pause, and a big pause in what we do every day. So now we're home, and we're just kind of like, okay, so now what? And honestly, it's like it was for me, it was like the perfect time to just like reflect and just look at where your life is going and what was that missing link for me. So um I remember the first few days of the pandemic, I started doing things that I never had a chance to do. I started painting more. I started meditating more. I always tended to be someone who was spiritual. Looking back in life, like what I did a lot of in the last 8 years is I always used to read a lot of personal growth books. Um, I read a lot of nonfiction, a lot of spiritual books, and a lot of personal growth. So obviously, that was something that was very important to me. I didn't really pick up on how important that was, but it was there. Okay, the signs were there. And then one day I was just like on my Instagram and I came across this ad for the Jay Shetty certification school, and I was kind of like, "What's this?" Coaching. Okay, yeah, that's cool. I was a follower of Jay Shetty, so I kind of am familiar with his work and wisdom going viral and all that stuff. So I was kind of like, oh, this sounds kind of interesting. Let me click on it and see what this is all about. And then, so there was this little um, pamphlet thing that they gave where they explained everything about what coaching is, what is not. And I went through the whole thing and I was kind of like, huh. I'm like, this kind of sounds kind of in line with what I feel like I am at the core. This might be that missing link that I've been wondering what that was. And the next thing I know, like I'm signing up for this course, and the journey has just been propelling forward ever since. And yeah, that's really how it got started. And honestly, before this, I wasn't even like, it was a kind of an eye opener too, because for me, what a coach was, I didn't even realize what a coach really was. I thought a coach was someone that was like always giving advice. that's how I foreseen it. And this kind of opened my eyes. So no, that's not what a coach does. A coach doesn't give advice. That's actually more of what they call consulting. Coaching is more like when you're with your client, you're kind of helping them through a reflective process through questioning, and you're helping them peel the layer of the onion and go deep and really figure out where something is coming from, like what's holding them back, if anything is holding them back in life, and then helping them find their own solution and how to move forward with the goal they've created for themselves. So I'm like, this is really cool. Like, this is awesome because you're not telling somebody what to do. The stuff is very it's very introspective, it's very reflective, and the action steps that come out from the client is very customized to who you are. So it's not like someone saying, do this, do this, do this. And you're like, well, this doesn't really resonate with me. It's going to resonate with you because it's who you are. It's coming from you. So that's the beauty for me of coaching.
Well, you just started with something really, really powerful. And for me, I'm really, really passionate about this. This is gonna be really cool. This is really, really cool. I'm glad that you defined like what coaching is, and oftentimes people, we obviously, since we're coaches, we hear people like, oh, what coaches do, what they do, what kind of advice do I get? Oftentimes we get in the comments, what kind of advice can you give? I think I oftentimes tend to tell people like I can give you tips, and then you can do whatever you want with those tips. And I'm really glad that you touch the fact that personal growth, because I can see in the Think Like a Monk book back there, because for me personal growth is one of my greatest things that I that's actually one of my values. Personal growth, transformation is it's part of my values. At least for myself, I discovered what are my strengths, what are my values from there. Now we have a whole entire chat that's going on. This is really brilliant. It's amazing. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I just is going to scream through a little bit, but there's plenty of people that here supporting you,
Awesome.
and this is really, really, this is the beauty of everything, right? We have Alina,
Hi, Alina.
we have Kim,
Hey, Kim.
obviously, we
Awesome.
have Odette as well,
Hey.
and they are having a
Awesome.
great time over there. He's having a great time, which is really, really,
Awesome.
really awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Now, I want to ask you about your niche
Mhm.
and something that I want to touch on, because I'm really intrigued about your niche. Can you tell us what is your niche, and can you describe a little more so people can
Sure.
comprehend exactly what type of niche do you do it, and we can take it from there.
Sure. So I'm still working on fine tuning how I phrase it, but what I've called it for now is relationship mindset transformation coach. And if you break that down, what that really is it's a mindset transformation coach. So that means I want to help people overcome their limiting beliefs and any inner blind spots or obstacles and help them empower to move themselves forward, but in the area of relationships. And specifically, what I'm looking for is the people who are looking to be in relationships. So if you are single, if you're just dating or going on many dates and nothing much is happening for you, and you're on an endless cycle of just dating or nothing like progressing into a relationship, that's really who I'm looking to work with. A lot of times, we the reasons behind why we are on this cycle is really about going deep and unpeeling the layers of the onions and finding out why we're doing this. What have we told ourselves? Like, have we told ourselves that, oh, it's never going to happen for me? Oh, I'm never going to find love. Oh, I'm not enough. Oh, there's always better out there, so people won't commit. They'll keep. Especially in a place like New York and New York City. What do you people? I hear this all the time. Oh, there's always something better out there. People will keep looking. Is that what you're going to keep telling yourself all the time? Meanwhile, someone next door is getting married. So what's going on? So we all tell ourselves things that keep us in this rut of cyclical dating. And I'm there to help those people break out of that and move themselves forward.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. I want to take it from there, because you mentioned something. So, like, we often hear people saying this, people saying that. What make you go for that specific niche on regards of the love, the relationship?
So yeah, so it comes actually from like a personal journey of mine too. And it was like my own personal struggle. So I also used to be that person. So I'm also looking for people, I forgot to mention this, people who do have their careers set, like, they're okay in the career field, but the relationship side is not happening. So What was happening with me was kind of just like, uh, I would go on dates here and there. Things weren't happening. It wasn't culminating into a relationship. I'd go on another date here. I've even had surrounded myself with people that I know in person, like friends also were with the same problem. Like it wasn't just me, it was just happening a lot. Um, I would set myself to go up to events to meet people. And then, like a few months later, a year later, you see the same people show up that are looking for somebody, but they're still single. So I got curious as to what's going on, like what's happening here. And for me, like there were a lot of, I mean, not to get into the details, but like there were some things with me that I had to also work on. And one of the most valuable things that I have learned for myself is that, um, so one of the things is who you want to bring into your life. It's very important to be who you want to bring into your life. And that's where I was kind of like here. So what that means is that sometimes, like, I don't know if some of you have heard of the law of vibration or attraction, but sometimes like there's some truth to that. It's kind of like if you are energy wise here, but you want someone who's here, you're not going to match. Or if they do come into your life, they're just going to go their separate ways. It's not going to click in a weird way. So what that meant for me was what was lacking in my life was I was feeling like a dispassion because like I said, I was in a rut every day. So I wasn't feeling passionate about life, but I wanted someone who was passionate about life and who had this and for some reason the people that I was constantly bringing into my life were the people who are also very dispassionate, or if they were passionate, they didn't seem to feel compatible with me for obvious reasons, and I didn't get that. And it wouldn't happen. Like we just went in our separate directions. And it wasn't until I started feeling more passionate and I started being that passionate person that now all of a sudden what's coming to me are the people that I'm attracted to, that the kind of people I want. So I had to change myself and be the person who I want to bring into my life. And that's like one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from this.
Well, this is really powerful. This is really interesting what you say. You had to be that person that you want to attract, and it's totally true. I can totally relate. Another thing you say that we attract the people that we are vibrating, which is really true. And at least I often tell people in the personal growth. And one of the second books that I read was actually the second book that I read is I was the average of the five people I surround myself. So when I start noticing that, I'm like, okay, I got to do something. I really had to do something, and I had to make a whole entire shift, not just in my mind, but in my surroundings, in order for me to become the vision that I have in my head. You know, and I want to start here where you say you need to be someone that you want to attract. Now, you obviously speak on relationships. You obviously speak about the love languages. Can you explain a little bit about those? Because for me, it's something that I discovered not long ago, and now that I know them, I'm like, okay, so many dots connected,
Sure, yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Also, before I go into that, I just wanted to say one last thing on that same previous topic. Is that not only like is being who you want, but also if you are constantly attracting the same kind of thing into your person into your life that does the same kind of thing, like why am I attracting only these kind of people? That's usually a sign of that there's some inner work for you to do. Like why are you bringing that into your life? That's what you specifically have to work on for yourself. So that's actually a big clue to where the personal growth needs to happen. So I just wanted to add that to it. But
Thank you.
so
No, that's
talking about
brilliant.
thank you. So talking about the love languages. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with what it is or if you know. Um, but uh, it's I forgot the name of the guy. I think it's Gary Chapman, who created it.
Yep, Gary Chapman.
Yes, and so basically what the love languages is. There's according to him, there's five of them. There's like words of affirmation, physical touch, receiving gifts, quality time, and acts of service. And what that means is that everybody perceives affection and how they feel cared for and loved in a different way. So if your thing is like you feel like someone cares about you and loves you because they said something, they had words of affirmation, they praised you, they acknowledged something you did, like, oh, this is such a great dinner you made for me. Like if that's how you experience love, that that's maybe how you experience it, but the person you're with may value physical touch. They might like a hug, they might like a little pat on the shoulder, they might want to hold, like holding hands, they might like quality time. So understanding what really reaches somebody is what the love languages is about.
Mhm. This is really important here because for me, when I discover my love languages, like I mentioned, just so many dots connected, and I didn't understand. But now, if I think about it in my past relationship, and I was like, "Ooh, that makes a lot of sense." That really makes a lot of sense when it comes down to like my love languages. I know that is words of affirmations and physical touch,
Mhm.
and another thing, another powerful thing that I learned too, it's when I started applying to myself, I'm like, well, I want to learn the love languages of my daughter. Her love languages are the same. It's words of affirmations and physical touch. That's for her, and quality time. In that order will be the the ones that for her it resonates a lot. And my connection with her completely has changed because I completely like it goes into a deep level, just like you mentioned, that you go into a deep level. The connection actually it's way deeper, and the understanding from me on how she feels love, it has become part of my growth with my daughter. And I think it's really great that you mentioned the fact that the way you feel love, other person is not going to feel it, right? It's really really important.
Yeah, and it's not even like, and just because someone doesn't like speak your love language doesn't mean that you guys are not like incompatible. It's just understanding each other's language and communicating. That's so important. Like knowing what your love language is. Some of us don't even know what it is. Like, you have to really think and be like, well, how do I feel love? Like first figure it out for yourself, and then communicate and ask and find out like what is it that what makes you feel cared for, what makes you feel loved, and then let the other person know. And then the more you know each other, that'll even increase the intimacy even more, because now
Mhm.
you'll be talking, like now you won't be on different pages. You'll kind of like, even though you perceive differently, you're connecting.
How do you, what are tips that you can give to a person to
Hmm.
start figuring out the love languages when, you know, let's say that, you know, I'm dating somebody or that
Hmm.
person is dating somebody, and then the girlfriend is not interested in the love languages, but obviously this person is more interested than the other person. How can you help some people, give some tips, so how can they deal with that?
Okay, so first, I mean, in terms of knowing your own love language, like, pay attention to when someone does something for you, where like, what is it that's making you, what is the action, whatever happened, what was it that made you feel loved by the person? Like, was it that they were sitting across the table from you and they gave you 100% of their energy, like quality time, and they didn't look at their phone every 5 minutes? Is that what did it for you? Or was it that they kind of just, they helped you pick up the shopping bags and you didn't have to carry the acts of services, but they're just helping you? Like, you have to really see what really hits you well. Sometimes a cool way to figure that out is, sometimes if someone doesn't, like someone does the opposite, and let's say they kind of like your your love language is receiving gifts or maybe quality time, right? And let's say the other person does something the opposite of your love language, so now you feel like it kind of like triggered you the wrong way because you appreciate quality time, but now you're feeling ignored. If that triggered like a very negative response in you, the more negative it is, pretty much is that's your value, because that's something wasn't spoken to. That's how you know what something means to you. So
Mhm.
that's another way of like, it's kind of like the reverse way of doing it, but it's kind of like sometimes the things that trigger us the most is what we value the most.
Yeah. And touching that topic, I want to put this something that for me was really powerful, something that I stalk you in Instagram, just so
Yeah.
you know. And
Yeah.
you say that you can stress enough how important communication is in
Hmm.
a relationship, especially when it comes to understanding how one another feels loved. I think this phrase is really powerful because yeah, we're talking about love languages, but how can you let your love, how can you let that person that you love, that you feel so compatible,
Yeah.
how important is for you your love language and how you feel love?
Yeah, so sometimes when someone does do that right thing for you, let them know. Be like, listen, I really like the way you did this today. It meant a lot for me, and it kind of reached me. I felt cared for. What is it that I do? Like, communicate with them. What is it that I do that makes you feel that way? What makes you feel loved? Have an open communication. Be honest with each other. Be like, listen, this is coming from a place of empathy. It's me wanting to understand you and where you're coming from. And if we understand each other more, well, we can each other. We could love each other better and understand each other that much more. So
Yeah.
communication is very, very, very important, and it's proper to have these things done during a time when not the other person's not distracted. Like, you want to have a time set aside, talk with them, and this always is always come from a place of empathy and wanting to understand the other person, and that'll always lead you in the right direction, I feel.
It is really powerful what you said, like, because it's true. We often just want to talk to the person without just like, just because we need to talk to that person,
Hmm.
because that person, we need them, like we need to communicate, you know. But when what you say is just like, come with a place from empathy,
Hmm.
you know, and you say that very well in between the lines without expecting anything in return, you know, just hoping that that person can understand and can listen. And then it's up to that person, right? If that person wants to listen what you just said, right? Because if it'll be, sometimes it could be challenging for the other person to have those open conversations, especially when it comes down to the love languages, because there's this is a topic that I was new for me, understanding the love languages, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what,
That
what's this?
Yeah, that's so important, because that's where vulnerability comes in. Because sometimes something is so difficult for you to share with somebody. It's so important for them, like I said, find a good time and let them know that this is not something that easily comes to you, so that so they know what you need from them. Sometimes we deliver stuff and we say things and the other person doesn't know what we want. So having being clear about what you need and what you expect from them, like if it's just support and a safe space, let them know that, listen, this is not easy for me to say, but I need a space of non-judgment, and I want to open up to you about something that I'm feeling inside, and this is what it is. It's just about having that communication, how you feel, and that proper time and space to do it.
No, yeah, this is brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Kim says that understanding each other's love languages is critical to a great relationship. And I just, you say that very well too. That how important it is communication. And here's another quote that you said that for me it's you know
Yeah,
it's very powerful. It's never you that's being rejected, and I want to talk about rejection because it's so powerful when it comes
yeah,
down to this stuff. It's only mismatch of energy and values.
yeah.
Can you elaborate a little more about this, because
You
this is,
know,
I'm really
so this is
cool with
something
this.
that came up for me because I was doing some like serious reflecting one day. Like you said, I like to go deep. And what happened was that I was thinking like, okay, what is like the one thing that people fear so much in relationships is the fear of rejection, right? So what is the fear of rejection? Like, they think that I'm being rejected, like I'm no good. But is that really what rejection is? It's never you. Like, when think about the other way. When you are seeing somebody and you have to let someone know that this is not working, are you rejecting them? Like, do you want the other person to go and be like, oh, I'm an awful person? No, it's just that it's an incompatibility of maybe values or energy. Sometimes why we decide we don't want to be with somebody because we have certain core values and they have certain core values, and it's just a mismatch. So obviously, at some point in the communication, you realize that this is not, especially early on when you're in dating, you can realize that this is not going to work because they believe like their core values are this. It conflicts with mine. Um, this is I don't see this working, and we can go our separate ways. That's all it is. It's never saying that you are not enough. That's not what it's about. But for some reason, the person getting rejected perceives it as an identity thing, like, oh, it's me, I'm bad, I'm not enough. But if you think about it as what really is, like when you flip the scenario and put yourself and think about the times that you let someone down. It's not really them. If there's some behavior, maybe some behavior, something they did, but remember your behavior and your thoughts are not you. You are something much bigger inside. No one can really truly reject you. So, and even with the energy that goes back also a little bit to like the whole law of vibration thing too, is that that's what was happening for me. Like if you're like I said, I was feeling dispassionate before. So if your energy is here and someone's energy is up here, you might talk for a little bit, but you're gonna obviously the differences is gonna pull you guys apart. Or you might have started out in the same energy, gone through a relationship, and something shifted in the energies and pulled you guys apart. Or it could be a difference of values that man. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for explaining very so well, because you're touching so many topics. Obviously, you're talking about not just understanding the communication, understanding the love languages, and now you're talking about energy. And actually, now that you're talking energy and all this stuff, and you obviously mentioned the behavior, right? And Alina says we're now the behavior. There is no right or wrong. There is only
Going
feedback.
exactly.
It's totally true. And something that not long ago, to the course of the alumni group, I heard something about the behavior is not the person.
Mm-hmm.
Look behind the behavior,
Mm-hmm.
because the behavior is not the person. And here, for example, in relationships, oftentimes happens that we get upset, right? We'll get upset because I don't like the other. I'm going to put an example with my daughter because that's the best way I can put it. I get upset with my daughter for certain behavior. I just not okay with it, and I just think that it's just different opinions. But I came to realize that I'm like, that doesn't mean I don't love her. I just don't like her behavior. And I'm very, very outspoken when it comes down to her. And I say, Mariana, that's her name. Mariana, I just not do not appreciate this behavior. This behavior is something else. And when it comes down to the person, I said, I still love you. I love you like you're the love of my life, but I just don't appreciate the behavior. And I do relate a lot to when I heard that in what Alina is saying here, and it's just like, I think it's just really, really amazing that you touch in the behavior, because in behavior with the rejection, right? How we take rejection to the
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
We take it so deep inside, like inside us, that
Yeah.
we just feel lost and we feel less when it comes down to it. There's somebody here from Ireland. There you go. There's people from Ireland watching. Thank you so much for being
Oh,
here, Colette. Appreciate it. And Kim says, great subject. I think our behavior is actually part of us. We had to own that we showed up. What are your thoughts? There you go.
so yeah, so your behavior is something to me, like it's something that you do. It can be learned and it can be unlearned, right? It's
Mhm.
not who you are. You have a choice. If your thoughts are not who you are, you can either choose to think something positive or you could choose to think something negative. If you choose to think, I mean, if you're trying to get somewhere in your life, and especially if you have that negative thought, is that really helping you get to your goal? Or is it putting you the other way? Are you trying to go like up a downward escalator where the more you try to step up, it's just pulling you back down? That's what a negative thought does, right? So we can always flip, we always can reframe things. It's not who we are inside, but it's our, and the behaviors can always be changed. So never like, I always think of people as someone big and beautiful inside. And whatever the behavior is a result of something that maybe they started doing, maybe it's something they started believing, and it's just a matter of a switch. You can just change it the other way. It takes time. I mean, these things are not overnight. Growth and development takes time, but it's always changeable.
This is really awesome of you to say that it takes time. The same
Mhm.
amount of time that it took you to fall in love, that's the same amount of time it's gonna take you to switch, to make that switch, right? Because oftentimes we think like, oh, I fall in love, and there's no measurement. There's no measurement when you fall in love, and just one day you wake up and you're like, I'm in love. Don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
I'm in love. And I oftentimes tell people like, you gotta get to know yourself before you can, like you're saying it earlier
Yes.
in this, you gotta get to know yourself so that way you know what you want. If you don't know what you want and what you need and how you feel love, how do you expect the other person to know
Yes.
the way you feel love and what you really want. And I think it's everything is so everything can be intertwined. You have a couple comments that I want to go
Mm-hmm.
I want to put in the screen, coming from compassion, from the space of compassion, like you mentioned, not judging the other person. And you know Alina says that, or the term or behavior, which is it is totally true, and our reactions can also determine our behavior too. So everything is. I really love the conversation you guys having over there, because
It's
this is
awesome.
really awesome. What else can you add to those whole entire
So
rejection, behavior, thoughts?
yeah, so I mean, reaction. Yeah, so basically, also like how you perceive things. Also, like yeah, like she's saying, how our reactions can also determine our behavior too. Are you responding? Are you reacting? Like what? How are you processing this? What is? And also, when something is getting said, what is getting triggered, and why is it triggering you? Like that's where the internal work needs to get done, right?
Yeah.
But and also something that you said also like about knowing yourself and knowing your love language. There's something that I was also contemplating on the other day, because I'm also focusing on people who are in the dating phase, and I thought of like the dating. Like consider like, well, what's your dating language, right? Because sometimes like when you're dating someone, you're not in love yet. You're still getting to know the person,
Mm-hmm.
and then people wind up in this cyclical pattern of like dating, 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 but they're not really sure what they're looking for. So one of the things I thought was your dating language. So what would make you want to see that person again on a second date or a third date? And yes, the love languages also play into this, like, words of affirmation and quality time. That's there too. But also like, is it infatuation? Is it chemistry? Is it physical attraction that you look at initially? Is it that the person showed up for you authentically or with confidence? Is it that the person is vulnerable? Is it that the person makes you feel heard and is asking questions about you and showing interest in you? Is it that compatibility of values? Like, what is it that needs to happen for you on that date for you to say to yourself, okay, I want to see this person again? And I feel like sometimes people just endlessly like, I know some people who just have been told that the more you date, the more chances you have, and they just go on this like random dates with people that are not really relevant to them, and they're just on this endless cycle. And I'm like, do you know what you want? Like what is it that's like, and they're just kind of like going in this random direction. Sometimes just having clarity, and also like knowing what you want, and also paying attention to what the other person is showing you. Like, I mean, you also have to be very keen to read, like, is this person right for me? Knowing their values, their interests, that will give you a good guidance as to whether this is something you want to pursue more or less.
Mhm. It is really, really great that what you just mentioned, the whole entire thing. The people is just like, the more you date, the more chances you have. I never heard that before, and that sounds so interesting. I'm like, whoa, is that even exist? Like, does that even exist? Like, it just blew my mind with when you just mentioned it. I was like, the more you
Because
date, the more chances you get. Actually, yeah, I can use it to some other things. The more I read, the more chances the more knowledge I get. I can put it into that perspective. But because not today, the more you date, the more chances you get. I'm like,
right,
wow,
but
that's
it's
that.
not right, but it's not just more you date, is you have to know who are you dating. Like you don't want to date someone that's not relevant to you. And that's where people get
Yes.
stuck. Like for example, if you're looking for a job, right? Let's say you're a software engineer. Are you going to go to an interview to a restaurant? Like what does that have to do with you? You're going to find the person that has a software, like you're going to like find the person that's relevant to
Mhm.
your values, but you have to know your values first. There's always a way to find out, like maybe on a phone chat or something, if this person you kind of feel, and then go on the date. But I know a lot of people that go on too many random dates, and they're just kind of like, it's all pointless because the person had nothing to do. They just randomly blindly chose somebody, and it's not about the quantity, it's the quality.
Oh, you just hit the nail in the head. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality and the
Yeah.
quality of the communications. And that's why it's so important. I emphasize people like get to know your strengths, get to know your values, so that way you know what you're looking for and
Hmm.
what you want in life, not just like in a relationship, romantic relationship, but
Yeah.
in your own whatever vision you have. Just keep putting up there. I'm gonna stop a little bit because there's quite a bit of comments, and it's just like really, really. No, this is great, though.
Awesome.
Amazing, brilliant. So Odette is, says, I almost spoke Spanish because we just spoke Spanish last night. I think you have to know who you are and what your values are, so that way
Mhm.
you can determine if someone's values are in alignment with your own. And it's just like pretty much touches what we were talking about, connecting emotionally, spiritually, not just physically. I think it's just all together.
Mhm.
I think it's just very, very, very interesting.
Mhm.
What you see in someone's is what you get. People don't change. What are your thoughts? This is I want to stop here because this is me personally. I have a lot to say on this one. And thank you so much, Colette, for really, really talking about. But I want to hear you first, and then I go because this is
Yeah.
I'm getting high, guys. This is nice. Thank you. Let's go.
Um, did you want to comment on it
Yeah,
first,
go. Yeah, no,
or
no,
you
go
want?
for it. You go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so she says, what you see in someone is what you get. People don't change. That's so important because part of the problem I feel like when people start into a relationship is they kind of like you have your values. You know, once you're aware of your values and you know your values, if somebody is showing you a red flag, right, and you choose to ignore it, and you think somewhere down the line that's going to disappear, like know that you can't change somebody, right? If someone's going to change, they're going to change for themselves. It's got to be from within, from that person. So I kind of really resonate with what she's saying because it's you that's I think that's almost key in like making sure you don't go down the wrong path into a relationship where like you put somebody on a pedestal and you put on your rose colored glasses and he's made out someone to be what you think they are, but all these other signs that are going on here that are telling you no, like this is not who the person is. Like people tell you who they are, look at what they're doing. You have to look at the full picture because they'll show you who they are to be, not what you want them to be. And that's so key in like making like some I get a lot of these from people who say like, how do I know I'm with the right person? How do I know? I'm like, look at the signs. Some of them are there and some of them not as easy. It's not always black and white, but the more alert and attentive you are to everything, not just the good things, you see the whole picture, the better track you're going to be on. You're not going to like cloud yourself into a judgment, into some fairy tale like, oh, like put somebody on a pedestal here and they wind up and this is who they actually are.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is really, 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 really amazing what you just said. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing. But now I'm gonna take it up a little bit, even deeper, right?
Mhm.
We say what you see in someone is what you get, which is is true, and people don't change. I'm gonna stop here.
Mhm.
Everyone is doing. I learned not too long ago. Is everyone is doing everything they can with what they have at the moment. For me, it's really important because people is gonna change when they're ready. Just because we are changing doesn't mean the other person. Or just because I'm changing doesn't mean that my partner has to change.
Right.
And we oftentimes want them to change because we're changing, but they doing everything they can with what they have at the moment. Plus, that person has their own map of the world, and I have my own map of the world. It is two different maps where values, connection, communication, and all those things become intertwined. And I often tell people, look at relationship two lines. If you're
Mhm.
trying to fix the other person, you just get out of the line. It doesn't go straight. So you support her, he supports you, and just that's it. But you guys keep going. No one requires fixing. It is so important for me, and I just learned all this. That's the reason why I'm talking. It's just like for me when I put it through this state of words, I'm like, wow, that's so powerful, and I want to stop. And thank you so much, Colette, for saying. But I want to stop here because it's really, 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 really amazing what's happening over here in the chat, and obviously quality, not quantity. Nisha's having a great time over there. Compatibility is key, which is it's truly, what are your thoughts on this compatibility?
Compatibility is key. I mean, that's important because compatibility, what is compatibility? Compatibility means that do they align with your values, right? How much, maybe, I mean, you could think of it in so many ways. Like, do they align with your values? On a more superficial level, like, do you guys share some interest? What is your vision in life together? Do your visions align up? Like the big goals in life, like where do you see it? If you guys are more similar in your visions, more likely you're going to be more compatible. There's so many things that go into compatibility, so that's definitely a factor.
Thank you, though. That's great. And it says, Helena says, important to agree in the beginning what your expectations are. Expectations. Whoa, this
Mm-hmm.
was the other one. Thank you so much for bringing that up because I wanted to bring it up because that was the next one, the next phase. So expectations. That sometimes we expect so much from
Yes.
that person and goes back that we expect them to change,
Right.
right? We expect them to change, but that person is going to change when that person is ready. And the expectations. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, expectations are really, I mean, that's all about also, I mean, there's so many, I can take expectations and go in so many different directions, but like expectations also, you go back to the love languages. How do I perceive love? How do you perceive love? Like where are these expectations coming from? Like, like, is it something that really matters to you, or is it something that social media train you to believe that this is what I should expect in love? Like, what are these expectations? And sometimes just meeting people where they are and seeing them for who they are is is probably the most organic way to go about it, because expectations just leads to a bunch of disappointments. Nobody, your expectation to expect someone to live up to something else is very difficult for the other person too. So I think that has a lot to do, expectations have a lot to do with a lot of the misunderstandings that go on within a relationship.
I think, at least for me, the way I see it, it's like having expectations. To me, it's just like setting myself to 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 feeling not that great.
Hmm.
Because if it doesn't happen, I'll be disappointed. I'll be, so many things can layer. And oftentimes people like for me that makes it a transaction already because I'm already expecting something in return. I'm just giving it, and that's okay. But you understand, it's coming. We have two choices: either you stay or you're not. That's it. You just stay. And for me that was really interesting. But I want to go over because I mean, like
There's a
it's
lot of
good.
them.
Yes, we can enter into a relationship thinking we can change what we don't like.
Yeah.
It's really good. And it's just like we sometimes ignore the signs, which is
Yeah.
really true.
Yeah.
I don't think we are aware of a lot of the signs, right? uh Lasting change comes from within oneself, which is really, really key. Like that's what we touching, like all the changes becomes within ourselves.
That's that is so true, because the thing is that, like, why are you getting into a relationship? Okay, it shouldn't be because someone is trying to fill a void in you or make up for the qualities that you lack. Like, you should come to the relationship whole. You are enough. Come fully filled. Like, because that's what the trouble is going to happen. If that person vanishes from your life, are you going to feel empty again? Right? So work on yourself first, bring yourself up to that level, and then go about it. That's how I believe in it.
No, it's so well explained. Thank you so much for explaining that. This is really awesome. And one person may want commitment and the other may not want to. So that's why it's good to talk
Right.
about what do you want. It's
Yes.
not what you expect. And I think that's the difference. It's what
Intentions.
you want
Hmm.
instead of expect. If you
Yes.
if you're gonna expect that and if it doesn't happen, you have to be aware and have to be okay that if it doesn't happen, then you have to be okay that it's the way feelings you're gonna have, right?
Yeah.
For me, that's what I say. Like for me, I don't. It's just expectations for me seems like I can change that, and for me, I'm like what I want, what I'm looking for, and what is it
Hmm.
that I want and I'm looking for in a relationship, right? We're
Yes.
talking about
And
right in
it
terms
has
of
a lot.
yeah, go for it.
Sorry, and it has a lot to do with also communicating your intentions. Like,
There you go.
what she said, the commitment was like, what are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking for something long term and stable. Oh, I'm just casual dating. Like, you have to talk about what. No, there are people who will openly say to you that I'm just looking for casual dating. Like, I've had people tell me that. Like, they're very honest and open, because otherwise you're gonna think like you're not gonna be on the same page. Like, communicate your intentions.
Yeah, casual dating. What does that even mean? Casual. Can you explain? Can you elaborate? That was sorry to laugh. I don't mean to to
Mhm.
be disrespectful to anyone again. Sorry, but it's just like what is casual dating though?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess to me, what I casual dating means someone who's not looking for something. I'm guessing this, like not looking for someone, not looking for something long term, or is just wants to date now. Does not ready to settle down. That's how I interpret it. I'm not sure what that means, but I've heard people say that.
Or maybe they're just having a good
And if
time.
someone says that to
Maybe.
you, I mean, they're kind of, to me, it means they're indirectly saying, no, indirectly, what that says to me is that you're not ready to commit.
Mhm.
You're not ready for that permanent part in your life, whereas I am. So that's for me not compatible. That's where,
Yeah.
like, I won't go. For me, like, that would be very clear signal. Okay, I'm not. This is not the way to go for me. Like, it's not compatible for me.
Yeah, yeah. And once again,
But it's
Colette says, I
communicating
think,
the intentions.
sure,
Yeah, it's
sure, sure.
communicating
And
intentions.
perfect. Colette says that I think you need to be on the same page. You may not always agree, but you need to have each other's back. And that's what I was talking about. It's just a line. Just you're supporting that person. That doesn't mean that you need to fix that person. You have to do everything for that person. Just
Mhm.
support, but bicker here and there, just like siblings. We bicker, we bicker each other, but we still love each other. And we still have our backs, right? And that's really important. And Alina says that's what I was talking about in terms of expectations, and knowing what you want. And Colette once again said, just because you meet someone, it doesn't mean they are going to make you happy. You have to be happy with you first, and this is really, really key. You had to be happy within yourself. And whatever definition of happiness means for you, it doesn't mean for the other person. This is
Exactly.
where this is what I'm going back into. Every single person has their own map of the world. And it's just like just because I'm like what happiness means to me, it's not gonna feel the other ones. Oftentimes people is like, I wanna be happy. Want to be happy. What does that mean for you? Happy, what is it? Well, like having this, well, you just that's gonna make you happy, and that's what I said. Like you expecting
Hmm.
that when you achieve that, then you're gonna be happy, right? We oftentimes attach happiness to something, and we accomplish it, and when that thing is gone or we don't accomplish it, then all
Yeah.
that's gone.
Yeah, that really goes down to like people who search for external happiness. They think happiness is outside somewhere, but you have to be internally happy because nothing in life is permanent. And when if you associate happiness with something else outside of you, when that thing disappears, you're going to face a lot of struggle inside. But if you're happy from within, this is always going to be constant.
Yeah. No, thank you, Colette. Alina says a lot of time people refuse to accept what the other person wants, meaning we hear only what we want to hear. What do you think about this? This is nice.
See, a lot of times it reflects what the other person wants. Yeah, that's really interesting because we only hear what we want to hear. So my question is what goes into that? Like what is it that you want to hear? Like why is that happening for you? What is it that you don't want to hear?
Yeah.
Right? What is a clue in the stuff that you don't want to hear? Like are you in denial about something? Is there something that you this is where sometimes when we focus on hearing what we want to hear, you might just, like I said, wear the rose-colored glasses and go down the wrong path and not see what's actually being shown to us, right?
Yeah, and I think it's just for example, to say the meaning that we hear only what we want to hear is just like we only see we perceive things as we are. We only, and that's the best way I can put it. I have my own personal
Mhm.
personal perspective about anything and everything. But that doesn't make it better than yours or better than the other person. It just means that that's the only thing I know at the moment. And that's what I tell people like, my ideas keep changing. I'm not married to any idea because it keeps evolving. It's just like the iPhone. We continue to evolve. We
Mhm.
continue to make progress, and our ideas keeps upgrading. And it's the same way we upgrade our phones. We gotta upgrade our love languages, and we gotta upgrade our the way we speak about ourselves. And for me, I can totally tell you, like the way I speak myself now, it's different.
Yeah. Then also like it's also comes down to I'm just reading like I'm thinking like my wheels are turning. I'm saying it also comes down to communication again. It's kind of like saying, okay, well, someone's feeling this way, someone's feeling that way. It could be a difficult conversation. So what is it that I'm feeling? Get clear. Like, what is it that I'm feeling? Okay. Um, what is it that I expect from you? Give the other person an idea of what would make you feel better, because sometimes the other person has no clue what that is. Okay. And not just about you, but what is going on. Then try to find out what the other person needs. Like, what is going on? Be curious. What is going on for you? What do you need? And
Yeah.
then when you kind of learn more, you'll find that there's a lot that you didn't know and the other person didn't know. And that's where the communication is very important.
And Kim says something really powerful. Kim says, so when it comes down to the love languages, we don't need to align with the same languages, but we need to
Right.
invest in understanding how to love the other person the way they wish to be loved and show them.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying earlier, is that two people don't have to have the same love language, but it's about understanding what they are. And as long as then you know that this is how I experience stuff, this is how I feel it, you guys will work together. Is again communication and knowing each other and knowing what you want. Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. And it says in here, just two halves do not make a whole in relationships. For me, when it comes down to, she says that two halves do not make a whole in relationships. It's the same situation. Thank you so much for putting this comment too, Kim.
These are
I
really
think
good
it just,
comments. Excellent.
yeah, yeah, this is really really brilliant. And for example, Alina says some people are in denial, and I think it goes back, at least for me, to the same stuff that I talked, that no one requires fixing, and that personally knows whatever they know at the moment. And it's okay. And it's okay, be at peace with them, understanding, it's okay. That doesn't mean that you're better, right? It just means that you comprehend different things
Yeah.
in a different manner, right? So,
Everybody's
okay.
unique. They all process things differently, and understanding how the other person processes is so important.
Yeah. And once again, Lalina says that's why it's crucial to communicate from the beginning what you want when you first
Mm-hmm.
meet. And I think it's
That's where it comes with
important, when that
expectations.
when that casual dating is happening, I think it's really, really important. And I think Colette says we always expect people to know what we want. How do people know when we don't tell them?
We always expect to know what we want. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
the thing. We assume that people can read our minds. They can't. Like, you have to communicate this. No one's going to know. Like, so many times I see this too. Like, well, he should know what I want. But did you tell him? No, but he should know. I'm like, how should he know? You have to communicate these things sometimes.
It is so interesting, and I'm glad that you're touching that. I mean, wow, the time flew. But anyways, I'm just watching the time because I'm like, it's almost an hour. This is great. But it's important what you just said, because I oftentimes tell people, I'm like, he should know. And oftentimes I'm like, where do you hear that? Where is that coming from? Is that coming from you? You heard it in the TV, like those things that you just said, the stuff that no, he should know. I remember seeing, in Mexico, like the TV novelas, so I hear it in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I hear them. I'm like, for me, I adapt that mentality
Mm-hmm.
of, oh, he should know, she should know,
And
what I
even
want and what I'm looking for.
yeah, something from an earlier comment too. Someone mentioned something about putting in effort. Like, I just wanted to add to that. Like I hear that comment a lot too. Is like, she's not putting in effort. He's not putting in effort. So what is effort? Like, specify. What does effort mean to you? Like, is it that you want the person to call you more? Do you want them to schedule more dates with you, more quality? Like, what does effort mean? Everyone's definition of effort is different. So meanwhile, one person is putting in the effort in the way they know how, but it's not resonating with you because you wanted something else in terms of effort. So that's another thing
Mhm.
where the communication
Yeah,
comes
no,
in.
no. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
If you meet someone that does not align with you, have the courage to let go. People cling to
Yeah.
toxic
Oh yeah,
relationships.
definitely. Yeah,
Nice.
that
Yeah,
that
that's
is that is so important because you have to knowing yourself and what's right for you, and you knowing your boundaries too, and being able to walk away like, this is not me, this is not who I am, your values are not, this is not, knowing how to walk away is so important. Unfortunately, it's difficult for some people, I know that, but it's so important to value and respect yourself and know your boundaries.
yeah, no, thank you. And
Yeah.
have the power to respect your core values, have the power to be on your own, and it's just like what you just said. So uh Anyways, this is great. Thank you so much. This great point, Preeti,
Thank you.
Kim. This has been amazing. Thank you so
This is
much,
fun.
everybody, for showing up and just really showing us all the support, all the love. And I mean, I can go on and on because I'm really, really. I mean, this topic has touched so many things, and I hope you guys
Right.
got
Definitely.
to enjoy it. I hope you guys liked it. But there's something that I wanna ask you before we go. It's you obviously are so aware when it comes down to relationships, and so you have so much wisdom hiding, and I call it hiding because it's like hiding. And my question to you is, what are the tips you can give somebody that is looking for a relationship? Two quick tips that they are looking for. What are the first questions that you can give or
So,
tips that you can give somebody?
especially for people who are like constantly looking to be in a relationship and they're not making the progress that they want, it could be so many things, but get clear with yourself. Clarity. Like, what am I looking for? What do I want? Okay, be really clear on who you are, your values. Okay, what you're willing to put up with, what you're not willing to put up with, what attracts you, what doesn't. Get really familiar with what you are, what you want. Is there anything in your mind that is a negative belief? Like, are you telling it? Like, is there something more going on besides that? Like, is there something that happened maybe in the past, or because of a repeated experiences of things not happening? Are you telling yourself that something is not possible? Like, how is that serving you? Like, really pay attention to any negative beliefs that you might have, because that's taking you away from wanting to going forward in a relationship. Um, if you I mean, there's so many things, like, okay, like some people are like, I don't, like, I can't get this person to open up to me, I can't open up to them, and maybe that's preventing the closeness. Like, are you okay? First of all, do you accept your own vulnerabilities? Like, are you okay sharing them? What's holding you back? Like, bring it up if you can't bring up your vulnerabilities up front, is it fair to expect the same from the other person? Because sometimes when you open up, the other person wants to open up too, and that,
Mhm.
it slowly builds on each other and it increases the intimacy. On the flip side of that, if you build a wall and you hold back, other person might also kind of hold back. It's bringing
Yeah.
that comfort in. And I'm not saying that you have to, drop your biggest inner secret or something on the first date or something like that, but like, you always start with something small, like a small vulnerability. You can use it to practice. Like, what is one small thing that I can reveal to help this relationship feel more intimate? Because it's really when you start sharing that deeper part of yourself with somebody is when the ball really gets rolling. Like,
Mhm.
you start to change the relationship into something more deeper.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm telling you, man, you have so much wisdom, Ken, and it's blowing my mind. It's blowing everybody's mind. It's just like before I go to the comments, you obviously want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time. This has been great. This has been amazing. Thank you so
This is
much for being
fun.
here.
This has
Thank you for
actually been
showing up.
awesome.
I told you that it was going to be fun, and obviously everybody's
Thank you.
supporting you. Thank you so much, everybody. We're so grateful for being here. You have a surprise for the audience. What is that surprise, Pretty?
Yes, so I'm currently I'm looking for and I'm accepting giving away to, let's say I'm going to make it three. I said two. I'm going to give three free coaching sessions away to two people, but I'm specifically looking for people that are looking to be a single and looking to be in a relationship. And for some reason, they haven't been able to make that forward movement. And they're at that point where they realize enough is enough. Like, they're done trying to do it alone and they realize that they might need to reach out to someone. Like, so you're at that point where you want to take action. So I'm looking for two people, three free coaching sessions, and you can contact me at well, the best way to reach me is my Instagram handle is bestselfforward.pm. My email is actually also bestselfforward.pm@gmail.com. I also have a LinkedIn profile. My company's name is Best Self Forward. You can even just type in my name. And on my Instagram, there's actually the link has a place where you can book a discovery session also. So if you want to just talk more, just send your email to me and we'll just set something up and talk. And let me know that you're a part of Omar's this live broadcast. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Nisha is here. Great conversation. Thank you. Thank you, Nisha. Nisha is always here, spreading
No,
some
she's
love. It's
always
always Nisha.
so
She's
supportive.
always. Thank you so much, Alina.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you. You know,
Nice
we
to
want to
see
have
you.
Alina. Just yeah, so everybody knows Alina's coming to the show too. So I'm really
Woohoo.
excited. Thank you so much, Colette, for being here. Really grateful for your support. And Kim, obviously, we're all part of the family, and I really want to thank you, for taking the time to be here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you. I know that this it was is something that out of your comfort zone. So I'm really grateful for the time, the
Yeah,
energy, and all the knowledge. All the knowledge that you share with
thank
us
you.
today. So I really hope that
Aw,
this conversation resonates with a lot of people because you share so many tips, so
thank
much
you.
wisdom. I
Yeah,
really encourage you
I'm
to continue. So.
I'm so grateful to you, Omar. Like first of all, like you made me feel so comfortable. Like I really I felt good. And I'm so grateful to have given this opportunity and sit here with you. And this has been such an inspiring conversation that I feel even I'm learning from it too. The comments were like great, such insightful comments in the commentary. And it's really been amazing. Like thank you for this. Really.
No, no, thank you. Thank you. Likewise, we're learning. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. And we're here to continue to evolve, and we continue to see each other and continue to support each other. Like continue to support and love one another. I think that that's the best way to go because I really want us all to win. I really want everybody to win. And thank you so much. You have an amazing wisdom and amazing talent, and I
Thank
think the
you.
world needs to know more about you. And I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to showcase your talent and all these
Yeah.
amazing gifts that you have. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We'll
Thank
see
you,
you guys
Omar.
next time. We'll see you next Saturday. See you next time. Bye.
Hi.